Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd first ask unanimous consent to enter the following statement of Ranking Member Crapo into the record because, as you know, he's unable to be here in attendance.
Without objection.
Well, thank you for holding today's markup of Britton Neiman to serve as Deputy Undersecretary of Treasury for International Finance and Development, Rebecca Haffagee for HHS Assistant Secretary for Planning and Evaluation, and Danny Werfel to be the IRS Commissioner. For both Mr. Neiman and Ms. Haffagee, the committee considered these nominations last Congress, and as you know, both passed out of the committee without any action by the Senate. I opposed their nomination then, and I plan to do so again today. And while I commend Mr. Werfel's willingness to serve as IRS Commissioner, I will also oppose his nomination. The IRS likely interacts with more Americans than any other government agency or private sector business, and its mission is to provide, quote, American taxpayers top quality service by helping them understand and meet their tax responsibilities and by applying the tax law with integrity and fairness to all. Unfortunately, the IRS is not meeting its mission. It has a pattern of mismanaging efforts to modernize its information systems, and it also has a long history of failing to provide taxpayers with quality service and not fully safeguarding confidential taxpayer information. As a reward, the administration pushed through an $80 billion blank check without producing a single spending plan. That seems to be backwards to me. It seems like we ought to have a plan, and then we ought to figure out how much that plan costs, instead of just saying, here's a blank check for $80 billion, you go figure it out, and whatever you do is okay with us. The message is, though, after $80 billion blank check, don't be afraid, taxpayers. We're from the government, and we're here to help. The Treasury Department is allegedly working on a plan, though they recently missed their own deadline to complete it. Not inspiring when it comes to regaining the confidence of the American people. Can you imagine a private business spending $80 billion without first having a plan in place? It's a preposterous idea, but unfortunately it's par for the course here in Washington, D.C. Despite the lack of transparency from Treasury, taxpayers already know what the plan really is. They know from the Congressional Budget Office that the administration's $80 billion blank check means more audits for America's middle-income families and small businesses. It means a growing army of IRS agents and auditors without any additional protections for taxpayers. And it will mean more red tape and more bureaucracy for the American people to wade through. While I cannot support Mr. Werfel's nomination, I will acknowledge his background and willingness to serve as the IRS Commissioner. If confirmed, Mr. Werfel will face a number of challenges in rebuilding the trust America's tax collector has lost with taxpayer over the years, and I wish him well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.